So here's the bad news. If you didn't accomplish any of your goals in 2021, it's not going to happen. It's over. But you can start making your goals for 2022. Though, let's be honest, if you're watching this video and you made goals for 2021 and you thought maybe you'd start them today, not that it's bad, definitely try it. Maybe it's just not your thing. Here's what I'm trying to say. If your jiu-jitsu goals didn't happen, hear me out. Just give up. Take the mulligan. Drink today. Enjoy yourself. Don't be that hard on yourself. Bank for the next year and just have a blast. Okay? Don't worry about any of that sort of stuff. You can start on your goals on the 1st and then probably again later after that. The more I'm speaking, the more I'm realizing we're not really helping anybody. That's not important. You know what is important? You're watching the Grappling Hour. What's up, everybody? I am excited that you are here. We have another great episode for you guys here today. So, one of the things that we find whenever we do jiu-jitsu is, I don't know what your feelings are. Some people come from the wrestling world and try and do our world. It's not easy. I'll be perfectly honest. If I went into their world, could do a takedown. You could ask me, wouldn't do it. And in fact, I've had a lot of people who like wrestling. In fact, yesterday, somebody who's a good friend of the show messaged me and was like, yeah, dude, oh, you could do wrestling. You could really learn and you can do all this. I'm like, no, dude, I am too old. This shit is not happening for me. That boat has sailed. I can learn the principles, but after about a minute of scrambling, I'm like, this is good. I'm fine. I don't need to do this. But our guest today is somebody who deserves some kudos for making the way into our jiu-jitsu world. Not only have you seen him have a prominent match against Gordon Ryan, but he's also been really, really invested on learning our side. He's accomplished so much in wrestling, and now to see him find his way here with us as grapplers, as just jiu-jitsu guys, coming in, putting in great highlight reels already. And what's already great to see him is I'm seeing him compete more and more, and he has a real vested interest, as admittedly only a white belt. Though I caution you, do not take him as a white belt, because he'll probably take you down. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to bring on, for the very first time on our show here today, please welcome one Pat Downey. Pat, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on the show, man. And, I might be a white belt, but I do believe I'm the best white belt on this planet. So, as you said, not your typical, first timer stepping into the jiu-jitsu world. I'm actually absorbing it and learning it very quickly. Every time I compete, there's a lot of different rule sets. So I'm learning that, and then I'm learning there's a lot of different submissions. I'm learning how not to get submitted. I'm not really attacking the submission at the level I would be like to yet, but man, I tell you, I really do enjoy absorbing this new sport, and that's why I'm in it. I don't need to be; it just has my interest, and I realize the potential, for transitioning into MMA here shortly, about to make a debut, and I realize how important these other skills are, for MMA. So when I get you guys down, it's going to be some problems now.
Well, don't put that at me. You don't need to be threatening me. When you say you guys, that's an all-encompassing, and it sounds like you're being threatening to me, and I don't really appreciate that, sir.
You jiu-jitsu guys, you guys know who I'm talking to.
Thank you. All right. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, if we start minute 1 with beef, Pat, I don't know that you'll like my ability to trash talk, because it is high. I cannot back it up. I will 100% back that claim. But I want to ask this, Pat.
All right. I'm from Baltimore. I've heard some shit.
I guarantee you this. Yes, you've definitely heard shit. The difference is I tell people whenever I roll with them, I am akin to a James Bond villain where I will monologue you into death, and it might come to my detriment, but it will be funny. So There is that to know. Pat, you mentioned this though.
It's
You
good to know.
mentioned that this is a passion for you, that you recognize you don't have to do this. So at what point did you recognize maybe I do want to try this? Because again, it's not something every wrestler does.
Yeah, so good question, man. I'm at the couple of years ago when I had my little stint, my run with USA Wrestling, where I kind of went on a tear, undefeated, made a world team, won a U.S. Open title, went all around the world representing my country. During that time and that tenure, I was out of New Jersey with the New Jersey Regional Training Center, Princeton and Rutgers, and head coach Reese Humphreys. Shout out to all of them guys up there. Nothing but love for that crew. But so training out at the NJRTC, I had the opportunity to train with some of Donaher's guys over in the Henzo Gracie's gym up in New York. They would commute there. They would commute to Jersey. And I'm like seeing these guys come in the room, Nicky Rod, Gordon Ryan. I don't know if Gordon ever came. He was always there, but it just got my attention, I realized there were some big name athletes. I realized it was a big sport. And I almost felt like I'd been living in a fishbowl, as my father and I would say. MMA is like the ocean in grappling. Wrestling is just one little subdivision of grappling. There's so much more. You got sambo, you got jiu-jitsu, you got judo, and I'm like, man, my eyes were freaking open because I would take this guy Nicky Rod down, and I couldn't do shit with him. It didn't even matter. So I was like, what's going on here? And then I found out how successful he was. And then I actually started watching him compete. We're training partners, we're friends. I'm like, let me check him out. And he's tearing it up at the highest. I'm like, man, if his wrestling can do that to this game, imagine what mine could do. So, a little bit of belief in myself and just, my ability and my skill set. I think I have the ability to kind of do well. And then the obvious transition into MMA has just always been inevitable for me growing up. I probably had 50 street fights by the time I was freaking 10 in East Baltimore. That's just been a natural, path. And I always loved one-on-one sports. I was going to go to college for football. I played lacrosse in high school, did all these team sports. But when I would get into boxing or the jiu-jitsu or the grappling or fighting, and then wrestling took me to the Olympic Training Center, something about the one-on-one and the combat. It's my passion.
I would love to know this first before I get into a real question, but how much time would you approximate was dedicated to just taking selfies when you were around Nicky Rod?
There was a lot of emphasis on the selfie game, and he's got some good tactics. He'll get the angle, he'll get the lighting. He's always trying to one up you with that view, and I'm not the most conceited or narcissistic guy, but I have no dad bod either, so I'm going to show it off. And, him and I, we're probably two selfies peas in the pod. We would have little jokes. All that dumb social media shit.
Yeah, I mean, I like to tell the guys whenever we're doing these things, I go, Nicky Rod's selfie game is on par with the Kardashians, so it's not too far off. So good for him. You mentioned that you thought that MMA was always... Oh
yeah, dude gets a good training session. He doesn't skip a beat.
Hey, but you know what? That's the way of the world on social media, man. You got to have a good Instagram game. So I don't hate on that in the least. And as he mentioned, he's like, hey, listen, dude, if you've got a Ferrari,
I don't hate either.
Why would you not be taking photos? It would be disrespectful to a car if you didn't. So when he put it like that, I said, okay, well, I've got a nice Toyota. It gets me to where I need to go. But I don't know that I'm taking photos of it every day. So, Pat, you mentioned that MMA was always going to...
man, tomato, potato.
Absolutely. You mentioned that MMA was always going to be in your future, though. At what point did you kind of say, like, that is something that you want to do? Because I'm pretty sure that you're looking at wrestling as probably the first vehicle into that. But does the thought to do MMA happen while you're wrestling, or was that when you were a kid and you were getting into these fights?
Um, yeah, I feel like MMA wasn't. When I was a child, it was. It was like a taboo thing. It wasn't mainstream. It wasn't like it is now. Now it's like a real sport, and I was just a fighter that learned how to wrestle. So after kind of being almost, the cancel culture shit, the wrestling community, I made the world team. They didn't really want me as the guy representing the world, representing Team USA against the world. It was like I never was really felt like I fit in the wrestling community. So I don't think me fighting now is as much as me passionately pursuing this illustrious MMA career, even though it is, when you go to the same colleges like Kobe Covington and John Jones and guys Phil Halls, Cain Velasquez. When you come from Iowa Central and your name's on the wall with them, it's hard not to believe you can go achieve the same things as them. Especially I've been in a lot of big camps and a part of guys' camps to help them prepare for the best opponents in the world. And when you have coaches that you respect and athletes that you respect telling you this stuff, you don't just believe they're blowing smoke up your ass. These guys aren't liars. They're telling me I got what it takes. So a part of that started to resonate with me. It got to the point where USA Wrestling took away my insurance, my salary, my house, a lot of sponsors. So, I mean, now it's like I'm getting back to fighting for survival. And it's just the next natural progression for me. Really, I just turned 29 and I feel like I haven't even hit my prime physically. I don't have any injuries. God willing, I have the same success in MMA as I have in wrestling, and I could have a happy life. And that's another thing. Is like I don't have to fight. I have a college education. I got 2 degrees. I don't have to grapple. I could go be a coach or a teacher. Like this. This is the stuff I do because I love it, and it feels right. My father told me if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I guess I got that Peter Pan syndrome in me. I'm not ready to grow up. I love this shit. I feel like a kid every time I train. And the only thing I love more than teaching is competing. So I'm as hungry and as passionate as ever to get back on to the top of the game, start winning.
Let's kind of circle back here. Do you remember your first day in wrestling and how did that go? Like, what do you remember from your earliest days getting into wrestling?
Yeah, my father took me to this real tough blue collar room in Rosedale in East Baltimore, and Tom DeCarlo, my first wrestling coach, rest in peace. He he was the head coach for the Golden Ring Panthers, and I was in there as a kid, man. I think I was like 5 or 6 playing football, running around, just trying to grab everybody. They're like, you got to get this kid into wrestling or something. So I always had a lot of energy. All the teachers on report cards would be like, he's very talkative. He's very touchy. He likes to put his hands on the chair. I mean, so it was like a natural way for me to release my energy and kind of keep me out of trouble. I want to say one of my first practices that I can remember is running around and I got clotheslined by an older kid, maybe a few years older than me, and I knocked my 2 front teeth out, and I'm running around cracking up, blood just all over me. They're like, this little mug's a nut.
I mean, the weird part is to me when I hear somebody's trying to clothesline you, I'm like, who's running the WWE practice? Like, who's coming in with that in the wrestling
Yeah.
room?
If you could have seen the Golden Ring Panthers, that wouldn't even have made you blink twice. I mean, some of the shit I saw growing up in that wrestling room. Nowadays you'd have been canceled. We wouldn't even have a program nowadays.
So
We're
when did
cutting
you?
weight up in the hot box in the electrical room.
Oh
We're
God,
rolling each other in the mats, throwing us in the saunas and plastics. I mean, shit that just doesn't fly anymore.
understood. Maybe not the smartest of things, but I'm sure stuff that probably gave you a sense of character of, yeah, no, I can live in this culture. Like, this seems like home to you. So that's
hmm
probably a very good thing to hear. When did you knew that you loved wrestling, though? When did that hit? Because your first days, I'm sure, that feels like fun. You're a kid. But when does it actually start to take hold that this is something that you want to do for a living?
Um, Yeah, that's a good question because I mean I started taking it more seriously in as I turned a teenager. I remember like 12, 13, I really enjoyed it. I just got tired of losing. I hated losing. Always hated losing more than I loved winning. And it was like that in all the sports. But in all these other sports, you catch yourself with excuses like, oh, my lineman didn't block, my receiver dropped this ball. You know, wrestling, it's just you. So I think even in high school, senior nationals, I was getting recruited by Old Dominion for football to go to college, and I got the opportunity to go to the Olympic Training Center if I wrestled Fargo freestyle wrestling tournament. I didn't really have a freestyle wrestling pedigree, but I went to Fargo and I tore it up. Um, I really did, and I got a bed at the Olympic Training Center. I think they called it a gray shirt year. Um, and I knew, I just knew, I knew once I had that type of success on that stage. Um, I knew my body type and my style of wrestling. I knew it was going to be. I knew I was well suited to compete the world to level, make a world team, represent my country. I was the only world medalist at the 2012 Junior World Trials in Thailand, and then I helped Team USA get a team bronze medal 2 years ago at the World Championships in Kazakhstan. And I still believe I haven't, like I said earlier, I haven't reached my athletic potential. It's always been me versus me. Can't get out of my own way sometimes. I'll take 5 steps forward, 6 steps back. It's just, I got a couple screws loose, you might say,
I
but
would
I'm
like
screwed back on now. That's all that matters.
well, I'm glad to hear that because the next question I had for you was you've never been shy about what wrestling meant to you and some of the adversity that you were facing. When did you know that you were able to kind of get back on a good track? Because it's hard, man. Not everybody finds their path. A lot of people struggle to find a good path. And I know that having something like wrestling can be very beneficial in that, especially if you have larger ambitions and goals. So, how were you able to navigate to a better path?
Um, Yeah, I just got tired of fucking being a victim, a product of my environment, being like, oh, I'm from East Baltimore, so I gotta live up to this narrative portrayed about me, this thug, this street fighter, you hear so much shit said about you, you almost start to believe it yourself, and you become this sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will, that I got tired of just not having disappointments and losses. And the higher the level, the bigger the stakes, the harder it is to attain. The loss doesn't hurt less. It hurts, you don't, you don't win Olympic silvers. You don't win, Olympic bronzes. You lose Olympic gold. You lose world gold at the highest levels when the stakes are the highest. I've always had a hard time with dealing with results, whether it's a positive result or a negative. I get too high, I get too low. So that's been my own battle, me versus me, just coming into a man and not repeating the errors, right? Like not being freaking insane. Keep doing the same shit, expecting different results. And that's where I'm at now. If I can live in Miami, which I just moved into this new spot, if I can live down here where basically every vice I've ever had a hard time dealing with, every demon is so easily accessible. If I can live and put myself right here and not even have those temptations, that lets me know how dialed in and focused and how much I actually do care about, my career, my family's name, my reputation. And it's all shit that at the end of the day, can you look yourself happily in the mirror and be happy with what you see? And I'm at a point in my life where I'm going to sleep at night and I got my dog next to me and life's easy. Life's simple. It's just me and Mojo and we're ready to whip some ass.
That's awesome. Let me ask this. What is something that you wish that you knew back then that you know now?
Um, your mental health, everybody's so physically minded, like physical health or what you're eating or what you're drinking, but really where you're at mentally and emotionally, I think I think that's always neglected, especially for athletes with this, we're the male, you're the alpha, you're the team captain of the sports, you're the, you know, at the end of the day, you're a human. And if your mental health's not right and your personal life is not right and your coping mechanisms are wrong, you can really go down a bad path, a downward spiral, you know. And like I said, like I've had some really big highs and some really big lows, and you know, I was 15, 16, 17 with 3 different first degree assault cases. In Maryland, that's a 3-strike rule, and I'm in jail forever. So I've always had this view of like kind of me against the world, like, oh, the government's trying to take my life away, or they, and that's been a real big eye opener too, is learning to trust people, not everyone, but who to trust and how to treat the ones that, you know, that genuinely do have your best interests. And might only be a few people, your family, might only be a few friends, there might only be 1 or 2 coaches, but when you get that, you got to hold on to those people because they're so rare that in a world full of fakes, it's really rare to come by these genuine people that have nothing but your best interest. So don't burn them bridges. I would always tell my younger self, if I could go back, that would be it.
I think that's good advice for anybody. And I'm glad that you were in a better space. Obviously, I'm hoping that mental health is something that people battle not just once, it's something that is a consistent battle. So, obviously, I hope that is something that you are dominating in the same way you would dominate on the mats with an opponent.
Yep. I just had to get my mojo back.
Absolutely. Also, props for what kind of dog is that?
He quarter Great Dane and 75% Blue Nose. He still got his nuts. I almost thought him out.
Well,
Big boy.
it's good. I wasn't expecting a nut.
Big old mojos.
I didn't expect a nut mention on the show, but here we are. I want to ask this because we want to go now and transition over to the jiu-jitsu side. So at what point do you say, I know we mentioned a little bit of you're up for the task, but at what point does it become a reality? Because you mentioned, okay, yeah, you're training with these guys. And then for your very first match, we have you paired up with Gordon. And of all things, I'm thinking, why is this happening? Like, I saw the two of you going at each other, and I'm an impartial party because I know Gordon. I've interviewed him a number of times. I think I'm one of his first interviews, period. So I knew him when he was very different. And I am familiar with your work in wrestling, but when I see the two of you in comment sections, most of the time these matches don't come to fruition, but here we go. You and him have a match. So can you tell me why it is that buildup was happening and why it felt like it needed to happen?
Oh yeah. Well, the internet's a hell of a world. I mean, you know, probably got sparked up on there, like you were saying. But really, what for me, what was the you know, like the line that got, you know, I don't know, crossed the was we're all tuned in. We're like Third Coast Grappling, who I've competed for a couple times, great guys. I love their events. He was on there. I want to say a couple years ago. You know, my timeline sucked, but whenever he competed against Bo Nickel, watch that match and watch what he says afterwards. This guy just subbed Bo Nickel after getting suplexed on his neck, mind you. He's about to lose. If Bo's dumbass doesn't get caught in a triangle, Bo wins on points, you know. So he, right after barely beating Bo, gets a submission last 10 seconds. He gets on the mic and says, I can't beat Bo Nickel in wrestling, but I can beat Pat Downey in wrestling. I'm like, this motherfucker. I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there, you know, having a beer with my coach, and I see this guy, I hear my name come out of this guy's mouth. So I was like, I turned into ultimate troll mode. I mean, I was in this motherfucker's mentions every day on Instagram. I got I got fans tagging him, you know, and he's, you know, now he's like recanting on his words. Now he's trying to play this word battle of rewording everything. And I'm like, listen, buddy, here's what you said. Back it up. So then we got into this thing where it was like, I'll go against you in your sport of choice. So my freestyle wrestling, and then we did his rule set of choice, which is just, um, you just go out there and, it goes until a submission happens, which was also weird. They reset us in all these positions, and I got to compete against him at the time, 2 weeks before the Olympic trials, and he does some weird shit, rolls under my ankle and pops it, and that's what made me tap. And then he gets on a power half, and my shoulder's always known for sublexing, all back since NCAA days. So then I tapped again. So there's two little things that made me tap that weren't even real submissions, but just because of my fear of getting injured for the Olympic trials. And then the father and grandfather in the back of my ear, like, you're a dumbass. Why are you taking this match right before the Olympic trials? You're an idiot. And I'm like, well, we got it set with fanatics, and I've been talking all this shit. I'll be damned if I'm the one to pull out, you know? So it is what it is. It took him 30 minutes to tap me out. It took me 30 seconds to tech fall him. So, I mean, he clearly, I never said I could beat Gordon Ryan in jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? So that's what started it. He got what he wanted. And, they say be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it.
Can I just say, again, as an impartial party, because I am more responsible, I guess, for Gordon's jiu-jitsu nonsense, but I would tell you, when I have people messaging me, I think the big conversation that happened from this was that you guys were supposed to prove which is better. And people were like, well, he got submitted. Oh, well, he got tech falled in 13 seconds. Like, And I just remembered thinking, so we learned at the end of this, they're two different sports. Good to know, everybody.
My father and I knew the outcome of that before I went too. That's why it was ridiculous for him to say that he could beat me in freestyle wrestling. I went on to make a world team, and I mean, I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't say I could beat him in his sport. You know what I mean? I never claimed to before the match, but he changed the whole narrative. He got on Joe Rogan and deflected it too. He went back on his words, and personally between us, he never. He's told me he never really. I mean, him, and that's the thing too about the internet is me and Gordon doing all that. We're on talking terms, training together. I think he's a smart guy, and we talked about going to Texas and teaming up and bettering each other. Iron sharpens iron. I mean, I have skill set that could make his game next level, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So you gotta sell it too. But at the end of the day, we're just two men that believe that. I still went in there trying to win in some way. You know what I mean? You watch that match. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with any of them chokeholds or any of my takedowns. I took his back, a few times. I didn't know what to do with it. So you can see I'm a genuine white belt. And I just made him look like a white belt on the wrestling mat too. So, I mean, that match, everything played out exactly how it should have, in my opinion.
And yeah, I don't know that I had lost stock in either one of you. I just found it very interesting to see how the comments played. And I think you touched on something that I picked up, which is, why are any of us going to get involved when the two people here are just fine with each other? Because if there's one thing that we have learned, it's that the internet loves to indulge in some drama, even if, and again, as a pro wrestling fan here, you get the heel in the face going out to dinner after the match and they're friends, and you go, wait a second. I just looked and I told people, I was like, do you really think that they have drama? I think it's just for good and for show. I think it's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
we were fine the whole. Yep, couldn't be more accurate.
Yeah, and here's the good news. I think it was entertaining in the sense that we got to see you both master what it is that you're good at doing. So I hope that on our side, the jiu-jitsu side, we had some folks who got to see what wrestling looks like in a jiu-jitsu kind of context. And then I'm hoping for the wrestlers on your side that you probably brought in, that they could have some appreciation for what it is that we do. Because that's the hard part is that Gordon is really technical and really good. So as dumb as he sounds at times, something to behold.
Yeah, and yeah, he's actually really smart too. Because I mean, like to know, like you're not a freaking jujitsu savant and an idiot. Like there's world class shit happening that people that think they're smart are actually too dumb to learn and realize. Like it's not just big dude. It's not just steroids or it's not just heel hooks. I mean, there's world class shit that I have a super appreciation for. So at the end of the day, it's nothing but respect for Gordon.
Steroids and heel hooks. The Gordon Ryan story, quoted by
Hashtag respect.
one. Just saying, I'm gonna give that to Pat Downey. I didn't say that one. I wish I came up with that one. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Gordon, shut up. We love you.
Yeah, maybe we'll get round two. Maybe we'll get round two.
Do you feel like there's going to be a round two? Do you feel like that? I mean, I'm sure you would like to show what you've improved on the jiu-jitsu side, and I'm sure. Well, he hasn't improved much on wrestling. I can almost
yeah. Well, he has improved wrestling, and that's one thing I'm biased is that you can't just come from jiu-jitsu and come into world class wrestling. It's never going to happen. We've been doing this shit too long, and it's just the skill. It's everything. It's so different, the takedown game. But if you saw my match against Jake Shields, he's a world ADCC bronze medalist, and I thought I won that third coast grappling set. But he had Nate Diaz and all the third coast guys don't want to see some white belt coming in and debunking a black belt and a UFC vet. But I do believe that I have the ability to come into that jiu-jitsu game and compete, whereas a guy like Gordon could never come into my game and compete. So that's the difference that I do know exists. And with that being said, I'd love to have a round 3 or 2, however you want to call it, where it's like a combined rule set. And Gordon and I are actually DMing. No, good, get out of my face. We were actually DMing the other day, going back and forth discussing a hybrid rule set that kind of values the takedown and the pin and the slam as much as you value the submission or the back take or and create a point system off that. A hybrid rule set would be something. Because what's the point? Gordon's better than me in jiu-jitsu. I'm better than wrestling. We just want to run these events all day. I already know the outcome. Nah, let's actually evolve the sport. 2 world-class guys in 2 separate world sets, combine it and see what kind of shit we can get popping then.
I would be all for that. And I think the goal between you and Gordon is actually one and the same, which is to make more exciting events. So to combine both worlds and to create the most intrigue into something, because one knock that we have in jiu-jitsu is it's not exciting. So every once in a while you get those people who just pull guard. And if you get civilians who don't know much about it, they don't necessarily understand more than just, well, he didn't do anything. When in actuality, they might be doing a lot of things. So that is an appreciation that I have here. So you mentioned all these things.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with wrestlers. You see it in wrestling all the time. Oh, they're just hand fighting. They're just standing there collar tying. Can't see all the subtleties and intricacies happening there to the naked eye, to the regular civilian, as you call them. They're just not the same level of appreciation. So as an entertainer, if nobody gives a fuck about what you're doing, you can't really do it. The fans get us paid, so we got to sell it and make it fun. And I got to slam people in their neck. That's why people follow me. I'm not just wrestling or winning by points. I'm talking shit. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going out and doing it. And it's not just with a single leg or a fireman's carry. I'm inside tripping people to their head. I'm slamming them. I'm rolling them up. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing. That's how I want to wrestle too. If you do that in a street fight, you might kill somebody. You can't slam people on concrete like that. Luckily, they got mats. So I think it's cool.
I want to know this. What do you feel? Because I'm sure after that Gordon match, you probably started getting more involved in jiu-jitsu. So what have you learned most as you become more immersed on the jiu-jitsu side?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time not even as much as I would have liked to. I'm really close to fight sports, so on Tuesdays and Thursdays you'll see me with them guys, Cyborg and Wagner. But Wagner and I we really like each other, and I really like Donaher and Gordon and Nicky Rod and that whole team too. So, I don't know about these divides in jiu-jitsu. I just go where the best are, and it's like-minded individuals gravitate towards each other. They can download wrestling off, and I can do it too off them. The thing I've learned the most though is just like the mistakes that I'm making are just due to like old habits, or like there's a lot of correlation in wrestling too, that head up, back straight, hips in, or tight elbows, or short arms, and basic wrestling 101 rules that are the basis of jiu-jitsu to stop you from short neck, head up, like this shit stops a guillotine, this stops an arm bar, just with this simple stuff that I've gotten away from in wrestling, because you get so good that you're able to break those rules. Now you got somebody who wants to be short arm and inside tie, but I'm out here with outside ties, collar tying, and pants their elbow passes. Like, you look at all my offense, a lot of it comes from outside ties and overhooks, where in theory you would say, oh, he's in positional disadvantage. But I give up that position to create this wrestling scenario, which gets me to my positions that I like, body locks, throws, butt, bear hugs, whatever it is. I've gotten too comfortable. I can't have that same level of comfort out there in jiu-jitsu because I'm not a black belt, In wrestling, I'm a black belt. So I can go out there, freaking stand halfway straight up, give up an underhook, and I'm going to pull some shit out of my ass. In jiu-jitsu, I'm going to pull myself in a triangle. So I've definitely learned, or heel hooks, like, you got guys that shoot into your legs just to sit down. And it's like, you never had to defend a single leg like that. So there's it's a whole different sport, man. I'm like a kid. I'm learning so much, but I'm absorbing it. I really am absorbing it well. And I'm excited to again show my progression.
I want to go to ADCC in a second, but I did want to stick on this while we're still kind of on the subject. What is it that you feel that jiu-jitsu can implement more to make it a little more exciting? You mentioned that you were talking a little bit with Gordon on trying to find maybe some rule sets or some adjustments, but what, in your opinion, as somebody who is coming into this world, is just maybe a little bit more new than some of the other folks, what are some observations or things that you think could incite more action or make it a little bit more spectator friendly?
Well, there's got to be like a unification on rules, right? There's got to be people that come together to say, all right, this is the rules, and maybe even get it in an Olympic sport, get some governing bodies. You have USADA, get some testing involved, so it's legitimate. It's not. It's kind of still like illegitimate. It's not an Olympic. I mean, and there's no. I don't know if it's because there's no, organization. If there's no one, governing body. I don't know how that has to happen, but there's got to be a rule set. So, I mean, shit, if the rule makers don't know who's winning and the competitor doesn't know who's winning, how the fuck do they expect the fans to follow? I mean, that's just like same problem in wrestling too. Freestyle wrestling, they change the rules every 4 years. Every new Olympics, you're going under a new rule set, whatever the subtlety may be. Same day weigh-in, next day weigh-in. Overtime's decided by the next point. Now it's no overtimes. It's decided by criteria. Well, what's the criteria? Higher point value, caution, ref's discretion. It's another thing about jiu-jitsu. You got to take all the refs out of it. A lot of these people just want to be involved that are reffing. They just want to have they just want an involvement. I like Gordon's theory about how the sport's, the truest form of it is ending it with a submission, ending it with a tap. I think allowing slams would be a great way to get more excitement too. You can't really say we want excitement, but you can't take somebody off their feet and drop them. I mean, how the hell? Where is the excitement in that? If I can't slam you, I don't even want to wrestle you. So that's my little rant on that.
Fair enough. Hey, listen, dude. I'm trying to do my part here to try and make this a little bit more exciting, because I'll be honest with you, as a guy who does commentary, play-by-play, it's hard work when you've got to make a match exciting when it's not. And I don't really like to be disrespectful to the athletes, especially when I'm on play by play. But if somebody asks me, like, yo, was that an exciting match? I'll just go, no. No, I just have to be honest with them. It's like, I don't find that entertaining or exciting, but I also don't fault the athletes for doing what they
Mm-hmm.
need to do to win. So I think that's where the rules have to have
Mm-hmm.
not just the structure, but the motivation, as well as whatever cash prize or incentive that you can
Mm-hmm.
add to it. But no, I don't fault the athletes. It's just there are some
Mm-hmm.
matches where I just say, please don't ask me my thoughts on that one. I am happy to tell you all about their narrative and their come up,
Mm-hmm.
but not really much to break down there. So that is
I'm
on
not going
my
to
side
speak
of
on
it.
that match.
So, Pat, at what point did you know that you
I
were going to
hear
do
you.
trials, and what got you to doing that? Because I have to admit, I didn't know that you were doing trials. And then when I saw you were there, I actually said, "Oh, I'm kind of interested to see how this goes." And kudos to you, man. You made it into the next day, which I thought was pretty dope. So I wanted to applaud you and say, like, hey, listen, not bad for a white belt. So we'll start there. When did you know
Thank
you
you,
were going to do
man.
that?
Thank you. Honestly, that was freaking the week of, and shout out to Mo and Tom DeBlas for allowing me in the event and accepting my PayPal registration fee. Took an impromptu flight to Baltimore, drove up to Jersey with my daddy, and whipped some ass. And then I got caught in that freaking leg move where they straighten it out or heel hook. My heel ankle was popping. I'm like, shit, is this thing gonna get ripped off? So, uh, props to that kid. I forget his name, but he tapped me with that. That was the single leg. You know, it's like literally everything I get caught in, I register it and I go back and I figure out how not to get caught in it. So, I'll probably be at the next ADCC trials. Go minus 99 kilograms this time. You know, that way I kind of got guys my own size. That'll be better. But yeah, I think I can qualify for these ADCCs this year. Don't be surprised if you see me at the big show.
I honestly won't, because I remember it was only a few years ago that I was doing a fight companion and we're sitting there and we're watching Nicky Rod's emergence. And I said, who's this Walmart version of The Rock? And lo and behold, he's now a beloved member of our community. So I have met the kid. I have interviewed him as well. I
Yeah,
think the world of him. He's got a great attitude. And, I think the sky is the limit for him. He's got the right everything, like right persona, right mentality, and
no, I would
right
love to see.
want to
Yeah,
win.
I agree. I agree. He's a good guy.
So, having said
Yeah,
that,
great work ethic.
yeah,
And not
but having said that, like, we
yeah. Having
could be
said all
surprised by you,
that,
man.
he he can still get the. Yeah, having said all that, he can still get his ass whipped.
I see. I like it. So even when we're putting him over, again, pro wrestling wording here, I still like the idea that you're like, oh, he can still get it. I have no issue with any of this. You're already setting up future matches. So to that, I applaud your brain, sir, for working that
No,
way.
that's my guy. That's my guy, though. It still is all respect. That's why society is so messed up. They think you can't be friends. Both believe you're going to win. Both be vocal about your opinion and belief in yourself, and still shake hands before, during, and after, and be boys like that. You know what I mean? We'll talk some shit. I'll freaking smoke a blunt or a joint with them right after. Like it's all love to me. Like I don't know. People are freaking like pussified and feelings and soft, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, can we just fight? We're freaking pro combat athletes. The hell do you want us in a, you know what I mean? Bible thumping red panty. I don't know. It's just a weird world.
I honestly think what it is people need to have a black and white delineation of, are they friends, are they enemies? And sometimes they can't see that you guys are having fun while roasting each other. And it's probably not dissimilar to what they do with their close set of friends. The only difference is people aren't watching every move that they make on social media. So, like, if you were to see some of the things that I say to my close friends, you'd probably be like, oh, why is he talking that much shit? He's not that good. And I was like, well, yeah, because I'm way better at talking shit than I am at grappling. So I'm not losing that. but I'll definitely go grapple with the person. So I think that people like to
Great point,
impose.
man. Great point.
I think that people like to
Yeah.
impose that when they make fun of women for watching Kardashians or Real Housewives, it's like, no, this is the dude version of it, which is, Nikki Rod and Pat. Yeah, they don't like each other. Oh man, I can't wait till he flips over a table. And it's like, well, this is silly,
Yeah.
you know?
That's how it was before Nicky Rod and I wrestled out in Carver Hawkeye. We're out having dinner the night before. We're smoking joints together. You know, I go out, I beat his ass 10-0. We go out and watch Adesanya whip some ass. We're drinking beers after. I mean, it that's really happened. And you know what I mean? We were the main event on Flow Wrestling's card. You know, now Flow Wrestling won't even mention I'm in the Olympic trials bracket. I went from being clickbait. I couldn't even wipe my ass without Flow Wrestling posting it on Instagram. Now, now you know, now I could go win a world title for USA Wrestling, and Flow wouldn't even speak my name. So there's some freaking fakes over there. Maybe Flow Wrestling will like me more. Who knows? I gotta do something in this grappling world worth talking about. You know what I mean? I gotta really go win one of these ADCC trials, or really debunk one of the poster boys and just put them on notice that PD3's here.
I'm glad that, yes, I didn't know that we have the ability to refer to ourselves in the third. I'm glad. You see, you're more closer to pro wrestling than sometimes even wrestling. You know, it's very funny to me. So Pat, let me ask this: you're making the transition over to combat jiu-jitsu now, en route to MMA. So when did this happen? You've got a match coming up, I believe, on the 22nd of January. What can you tell us about that, sir?
So that match is combat jiu-jitsu, right?
To my knowledge, it is, yes.
Yeah, I suck at all these different rule sets, but she said I'm allowed to slam and slap, and I said great.
So really, was that all it took, is for her to go, well, we'll let you slam, that's normal, but this time, added bonus, slaps are included.
Yeah, I got some big old hands, so I feel sorry for old boy. I'm about to slap the shit out of this dude.
Have you been training your stand-up? Because that is something that I was very interested to hear, especially when I knew that MMA is kind of in your future. And if so, how has that training been coming along?
Oh yeah, no, that's why I grappled this morning, wrestled, jiu-jitsu an hour, and then hit mitts for an hour with the striking coach here at the Coach Shed Gym. Um, I love it all. I love every facet of it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, being in that hunched over wrestling posture, now standing, throwing kicks, punches. It's a different type of shape, and that's always been my main thing: is how consistent can I put together a good lifestyle, good training camp, healthy, to get that peak shape, to get where I'm in true form. But I'm not too far away from an MMA debut as well. You know, I don't want to blow up my own spot, but I might be signing a developmental deal here with Bellator, which would allow me to fight 4 times next year. So God willing, this all gets through before Christmas, and you know, shit's going good for me again, and I'm just gonna keep the ball rolling, and when shit's going good, it's when I'm teaching, it's when I'm competing, it's when I'm hanging out with my dog. You know, shit goes bad for me is when I'm with the women, at the clubs, at the casino, doing everything else that comes around with that party life. That's when. So it's real simple for me, man. It's a battle of myself versus myself. When I'm in shape and I'm trained to do it and I'm healthy, sober, focused, dialed in, I'm one of the best grapplers on this planet and one of the best wrestlers, and I think I'll be one of the best fighters on it too.
Well, I love hearing that, man. And again, I'm super glad that things are progressing and that you are finding new avenues and challenges, because you are challenging yourself in a multiple series of rule sets and factions. You're going into jiu-jitsu, you're getting into quarters for ADCC trials, which then leads you going into CJJ. You've told me that you're going back to ADCC West Coast trials to get another stab at it, learning more. You changed where you live so that you can get some fight camp experience for both your jiu-jitsu and your MMA career, and it sounds like things are leading themselves to a much better place. So for that, I feel very happy for you. I do have one question for you. And this is important given it seems like there are statements that you make when you're about to go compete. The question is this: have you figured out what kind of hair you are going to have for this next match? Because you never look like the same person to me ever. I have confused you multiple times through different photos where I go, this cannot be the same person.
Was that you who made that Instagram
No,
fix
but
stitch mosh?
no, that was a good friend of mine who relayed that and said, and I knew we would be interviewing, but they put it up just randomly. And I saw that it was one of those things where it goes, yeah, this dude never looks the same. You can't convince me they're the same person. And I thought, yeah, same. I've wondered that sometimes too. I feel like
That was hilarious.
I feel like you
That was
were coming
hilarious.
into the true Eddie Murphy, like chameleon, like, oh, he's playing 15 characters in this movie? Oh, okay, cool. So I was wondering if you've given any thought to what you will be
You know,
looking like come next month.
honestly, man, I all of them, every look, if you will, it's impromptu. It's spur of the moment. I'm not plotting, planning ahead. I mean, I just turned 29. I can finally grow a full beard, so I'm happy about that. I might rock the beard, and I might be trying to grow the flow back out. I'm in the awkward stage right now. You see me wearing a lot of hats and headbands. But once the flows drop, down below the ear line, down by the neckline, I might start braiding it back up. I might fade it out. Get a little Paulie D going, Jersey fade. I really don't know. I don't give a whole lot of shit too much about it. I'm here to. I'm not here to be that pretty.
Good for you. I'm just letting you know. I found one look 15 years ago, and I have looked essentially the same. So I applaud those who can have multiple different facets to what they want to appear like. But I was very interested to see that because, like I said, man, even in this promo photo, they have a picture of you with the beautiful mullet. But I looked at it and I go, yeah, dude, I don't know that that's how he's going to show up. He might still show up and be like, wait, are you in this? Oh, this is
Nah,
our main event.
the mullet won't be there. But I will say this: the mullet got me the most women. Women love mullets. I
So
might have to bring it back.
I don't know about that.
I'm
I
gonna do
think
an
you.
Instagram. I'm gonna do an Instagram.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna do an Instagram poll. Let's see. I'm gonna let the people decide.
I feel like this is a bad choice. I try to draw the line on letting the internet decide what I'm doing with my life because as it is, I know they will pick the worst
Eh,
option.
hey, whatever's meant to be will be. I'm gonna let them pick for me. It'll be
God
great.
bless that. I will tell you this, my friend. Very excited for your match. Not only do you have a match, but you're also doing a seminar. What can you tell us that people can learn? It looks like it's going to be a takedown clinic that you're teaching. Is this right before you actually do the match?
Yep, yep. I'm gonna show a bunch of shit I'm gonna do out in that match too. If you watch me wrestle, I film with wrestling fanatics. I'm not one to hoard technique. I love teaching, and I don't want you to, even especially my training partner, but even more so the people in attendance. As of now, two separate seminars, probably 90 minutes apiece. And it's because I'm appealing to a jiu-jitsu community. I'm going to try to focus takedowns that you end up in, not in full guard. So you end up in side control. You end up in full mount, feet to back, feet to back, 5-point throws, show how to properly get your hips in. Just a couple things that a lot of the jiu-jitsu community doesn't really do, you know? Um, yeah, I think it'll be good. It's sometimes tough teaching, to people like that never have done it before, because you're showing high level stuff. I don't want people trying to throw suplexes and breaking arms or hurting themselves. So I really got to do like I do this before every seminar, every clinic, whatever you want to call it. I always do like what I would call like a athletic aptitude test. You know, just some simple shit to see what we got, what I'm working with. You know, and then kind of tailor each move to each level. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while though, man. I teach at all levels. You know, from elementary first time wrestling to, you know, D1 national titleists and All Americans and, you know, Olympic hopefuls. So, you know, I'll make sure everybody that comes gets their money's worth.
Good on you. And I have to say, you know, as a pure jiu-jitsu guy, wrestling season was always during soccer, and I'm a brown guy. You got to do soccer if you're brown. It's just a rule. So as much as I would have loved to have done it, now that I find myself doing jiu-jitsu, I go, oh, yeah, I don't know much about wrestling, but about last week, because I am a pro wrestling fan, I had this kid, he's really light. I was about to German suplex the shit out of him, and I go, oh, I don't know if he knows how to take this. So there's like a clip of me about to like launch him over, and I go, nope. Duck him down. And like, it literally looks like the dumbest plop anybody's ever seen. But I was like, for a split second, I sent a message to Cody Steele, and I was like, I was going to suplex this kid, and then I remembered I'm not you. So I probably shouldn't. And the kid, to his credit, I told him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to put up this video. Are you good with it? He goes, oh, yeah, it's really funny, man. It's cool. So I was just like, hey, I just want to let you
know. I'm sure you and your training partner are thankful you didn't send it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I would have fucked myself up too. I'm not going to discount that thought, but I just like for a split second, I had this thought of, oh, I can hit this. I can really do this. And I was like, just about to start. And you see like my brain in the video go, nope, don't do that. Bad choice.
It is very common. It's one of the most common things I see from kids to, you know, civilians in street fights to pro MMA athletes, slamming and hurting themselves, slamming and knocking themselves out, slamming and then getting rolled through. You know, there's so much force behind that throw. You got to think your body and then all the other person's body. That's a lot of energy. So you got to. It's like, oh, Downey's tough, or he's just so athletic, or he has great hips. Like, nah, man, there's a shitload of technique happening in that.
Yeah, it's years of you doing multiple things to be able to do what seems to come naturally. So it's not just in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's pretty dope. I actually love the fact that you're showing stuff in a seminar before you have a match, because it looks not only like you're supremely confident in your stuff, but you might actually just be giving away the whole game plan of like, yeah, I'm going to do this and try and stop it.
And that's what I love, man, because now you're evolving me. Now I show you what I'm going to do. Now you do what you can do to stop it. And, you know, now we're playing chess. Now the progression goes on. Now the wrestling position advances. That's how you get fucking better. I love that.
Well, good on you, man. I want to say this real quick, just as a reminder to everybody here. Those events, they're happening in our good friends, the 10th Planet in Tucson, Arizona. Of course, put together by those good folks. There's going to be bullpen submissions. It is taking place January 22nd out in Arizona. Please go learn from this young man. It seems like he's got a lot that he is ready, willing, and happy to teach you guys. And especially with the fact that I do love this, because I do it similarly with the jiu-jitsu side, with the aptitude test of like, can y'all handle this? Because if not, I got to go to level 1. And I have no problem going to level 1.
Yeah, we might not be showing too many suplexes.
Well, you know what the worst part is? If I believed in my ability to do a suplex, I'd be like, hey, can you shore this up? But I can already most assuredly tell you, yeah, I don't think I'm hitting that shit.
I'll tell Mercedes to bring get some crash pads ready, just in case.
That's probably a smart idea, especially given how I know the guys out in Arizona. And I know they have a wrestling class out there, and I know Brochak works that. Pat, before we get you on out of here, I wanted to give you an opportunity to go ahead and shout out any sponsors that you'd like to, or anybody that's been helping you get ready for the past, not just events, but the ones that are coming up in the near future, sir. The floor is all yours.
Um, Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, I got a couple things in motion with some new sponsors, but I just want to give a shout out to Heavy Metal Forge, my guy Matt and Woody out there, and out there on the West Coast, if they're in Washington or Oregon. I always get them states mixed up, one or the other. But they're out there. You get your custom mace ball and join the Heavy Metal Forge Swingers Club. That's something we kind of started, and now you see a lot of people with their custom maces. Um, and it's just really cool. It's really cool work they do. Um, and I love those guys out there. And a shout out to my guy Simon at Major League Movement. Big, big help getting me down here from Jersey, from Baltimore, from Jersey to Baltimore, Baltimore to here to Miami. You know what I mean? Like, gotta have ones that are with you when everybody else kind of seems to leave you. Those are the ones that when you know, now it's like everybody wants to join you. It's like, hey, my team's full. So shout out to Heavy Metal Forge and Major League Movement.
Well, Pat, I wish you all the best on your next month. I hope that your year starts off very well. It sounds like it's going to be a very productive one, and we look forward to seeing even bigger and better things coming for you, man. So I hope that all is well, you stay well, and that things continue to go well for you on the mental health side, because competition aside, that is something that we always wish for our friends.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate those words, and thanks for having me on. It was good talking to you.
Not a problem. So I want to say thank you on over to Pat. And hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Grappling Hour. All right. What the fuck was that? Something fell. Anyway, I just want to thank all of you for tuning in for this week's episode of Grappling Hour. Honestly, guys, we've had an incredible year. It's been so good to be doing these episodes back. I was doing some simple math off air, and I think I realized a few things. For one, we did somewhere in the neighborhood of over 45 episodes in this past year. A number of them were brand new interviews, exclusives, and we did somewhere in the neighborhood of what? I think like 19 fight companions this year, which isn't bad. We do our best to try and give you new content every single week. And this past year was very busy for me, and busy is good in my world. So I always try to make sure that I do not neglect the people who support us. I want to continue building this show. I want to make it even bigger. So every time that you guys share, like, subscribe, I cannot tell you what that means to me. And I know at the end of the year, it is customary to take stock and look past, you know, your year, what you've accomplished, and then start looking forward to what it is you want to accomplish. But past, present, future, all that sort of stuff. I just hope that you know that none of that becomes possible without people like you. So everybody who comes to support this show and who shares it and who recommends it to people, you are really the foundation that this thing is built on. So I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to actually thank all of you, and especially for your patience this year. You know, one of the other things that I learned was that we were able to make significant upgrades. I mean, the camera quality, the lighting, like all the stuff that we've done, the sound quality, I know it sounds better, but that didn't just happen overnight. So that has been stuff that I have quietly tried to work on as, you know, I don't try to make a big deal of it, so that way it just looks nice on the show. So when I get nice notes from you guys and encouragement and wonderful things, it makes me feel good. So if it would be so kind, if you're new to this show and you watched it and you like the interview with Pat, and I think you might have, I hope you do, if you would do us a solid and give us a like and subscribe. You can follow us at all the major Grappling Hour entities. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all of that sort of stuff. And you can find us on Instagram as well. We're having a even bigger presence. And like I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of plans for what I want to do with this show in 2022. If there's things that you'd like to see, feel free to tell me. I'm pretty ears. I would say all ears, but I think some of the cauliflower might block some of the words out. In any event, my thanks to all of you again. I look forward to doing more interviews, more shows, more fight companions, more nonsense. Always going to be nonsense. And I am significantly looking forward to training with so many of you in the coming year. So enjoy today, the last day of 2021, and let's all look forward to what 2022 is going to bring us. It's been a great day for grappling. My name's Rafa Esparza. We'll see you on the mats.
Perfect.